Hello, everybody, and welcome to the first RSP DEFRA plant health event of the year. Very excited here to have Sarah Brunel with us. Before I jump into the formal introduction of the talk, just a few bits of housekeeping. You will be able to ask questions at the end, and if you put your questions into the Q&A, we will then bring those forward to the end of the talk, and we'll triage those and ask Sarah those questions at the end. Just an announcement, the plant health undergraduate studentships, the deadline for the application for those is at the 11th of March, coming up fast. And I think there's a post there from Tia being posted in the Q&A. So if you've got anything desperately you need researching, there's a great opportunity. And please look out, these things tend to finish very quickly. So look out at the end for the survey to give us feedback on how this went, both logistically and in terms of topics and what you might want for the future, because we can help then craft these to suit the community as best we can. So without further ado, I'll introduce Sarah to you. So Sarah is involved heavily with the International Plant Protection Convention. We're dealing with One Health from the World Health Organization, and specifically leads the Implementation and Facilitation Unit. So we're particularly thinking, I understand about defense against plants. Of course, in Europe, defense is right top of the agenda at the moment, not necessarily against these sort of pests, I would imagine. So Sarah has a wide remit of responsibilities, both strategically and operationally, in delivering this to the community. She has a very interesting academic background. She's an agricultural engineer. She has a degree in international affairs from the Sorbonne and anthropology from the French Museum of Natural History. So I feel we'll be under scrutiny from all sorts of angles at the time of the talk. So really going to be talking about phytosanitary methods and their implementation, and obviously there's a whole European context to this. So I'm really looking forward to hearing Sarah's talk about the importance of plant health in One Health, and a great set of questions in what is a really topical and really important topic currently, both in climate change and politically. So merci beaucoup, Sarah. À vous.
Merci beaucoup, Jérémy. It's really my pleasure to be here with you to present on this very important topic. Indeed, I've been doing my whole career in plant health, and I'm happy to really advocate why plant health is really important in the framework of One Health, and as such. I'm trying to share my presentation. I think it's working well in full mode now. Jérémy, can you confirm? Perfect. So we're here to talk about plant health in One Health. But first, what is One Health? There's an official definition which was defined by the high-level panel. It's an integrated, unifying approach that aims to sustainably balance and optimize the health of people, animals, and ecosystems. So you see here the words highlighted in green are humans, animals, plants, and the environment. All these form a nexus that represent One Health and that need to be all protected to work as one. Why am I today advocating to you on the importance of plant health? You might have noticed, and we have a lot of people from DEFRA, that there is always that tendency of ignoring the role of plants. Plant health being always gaining lower interest compared to animal health and human health. And the definition has changed of One Health. It now clearly includes plant health, but before it was not the case, and plant health was part of the environment. While you may really recognize by the that a healthy environment is really based on plants, and that plants are the basis of all healths. You need plants to have oxygen, you need plants for vitamins, you need plant, of course, for food. Plants feed the livestock. We eat meat because the animals have eaten plants. It's a reservoir for many compounds which are necessary. Plants provide medicines, and there are studies highlighting that mental health of people is really better when they can immerse themselves in forest, in nature. So that's once again advocating for plants. Plants are a fundamental part of life, so about photosynthesis and energy production and conversion. They are the basis of the alimentation of all living beings, and that's thanks to photosynthesis that we can also stock carbon. And a topic which is a bit far from UK preoccupations, being a wealthy nation, but plants feed the world, and that's still nowadays, unfortunately, a preoccupation. There are over 820 million people, as identified by FAO, as hungry, undernourished, and in situation of food insecurity, being for wars or any lack of supply and production in the countries. 9 million people died of hunger lately. To give you the magnitude of the importance of nutrition and food security in the world. And of course, plant and plant protection are important to reach food security, as plant pests and diseases cause 40% of crop losses. We indeed have many pests, hundreds of them, causing detrimental impacts to crop production. Humanity has huge history with pests. You may remember the potato blight in Ireland 1 century ago, which led to famine. So pests, they are even quoted into the Bible. So they really shaped our culture and our economies. But still, even nowadays, we're having huge pest outbreaks causing immensely detrimental impacts to agriculture. And I'm quoting here a few examples on which we will come back. The fall armyworm in Africa, the fusarium, banana wilt, that's a fungus of banana affecting banana and musaceae production in all regions of the world which produce banana. Xylella fastidiosa, you might have heard of it in Europe, and fruit flies globally. And of course, in the UK, you have additional pests of forest and of horticultural crops. So the impact of pests, of plant pests, is recognized to affect about 40% of all food crops globally. That equates, according to a study, to 220 billion USD of trade in agricultural products. These are figures which may increase due to the globalization. Indeed, we exchange even more commodities, which may lead to additional pest introduction and the destruction of ecosystems. The lower quality of soil make the environments more prone to pest invasions, and climate change is also a factor, increasing the number of suitable habitats and places for pests to establish. You see that for what concerns forests, insects alone damage some 35 million hectares of pests annually. So that's a massive impact, which unfortunately it's still not sufficiently known and advertised to the general public and to our decision makers. So we have that problem, a huge challenge, insufficiently known and very complex in nature because pests do not have border. So how do we protect plant resources? How do we prevent the introduction and spread of pests? How do we preserve food security and biodiversity? How do we promote international cooperation? Because we need to do that all together. And how do we facilitate international trade? That is what the International Plant Protection Convention is doing. That's its mission and impact. Indeed, the abbreviation is the IPPC. It's the sole international organization recognized by the World Trade Organization as standard setting organization for plant health. And when we say standard setting, it means we are setting transparently, cooperatively, setting international standards for phytosanitary measures. And we are recognized under the SPS agreement, the sanitary and phytosanitary agreement of the World Trade Organization, together with our two sisters, Codex Alimentarius for food safety and the World Organization for Animal Health for animal health. So that gives us a real strength in terms of our mandate. It's not only about trade and the WTO, it's also about environment and biodiversity. The IPPC is also part of the Convention on Biological Diversity Liaison Group, and it's a network of organizations we're working with at the regional level with our regional plant protection organizations, of course, in full collaboration with the National Plant Protection Organization and over 40 international organizations. The IPPC so far has adopted 46 of these international standards, developed over 20 training materials and 60 learning courses, and I will come back to that. All these to protect global plant resources and facilitate safe trade. And the vision is that the spread of plant pests is minimized and their impacts within countries are effectively managed. You see, that's a role of cooperation among all the nations to reach 3 strategic objectives of the IPPC: enhancing food security, protecting the environment, and facilitating safe trade. And all these lead to the very colorful SDGs, or Strategic Development Goals, which are the United Nations goals for the future, what all United Nations agencies intend to achieve. You see them listed, and I really want to emphasize the second one, zero anger. So that's the reason why I'm waking up every day working for the IPPC to protect plants and ensure people all across the world will have something on their table. So I'm working within the IPPC Secretariat. I mentioned there is a standard setting unit. They are in charge of ensuring a transparent and inclusive process so that standards are being approved by consensus by all member countries. As of now, there are over 46 standards, but when we count all the appendixes of phytosanitary treatments and diagnostic protocol, it's over 100 pieces of work. And I may quote, for instance, the ISPM 15 on wood packaging material. That's the most known and successful, most known standard, because in our everyday life, we've all seen this stamp. You see this little stamp with the IPPC. People don't know what it is, but it is the stamp notifying that this pallet has been treated. Standards are absolutely necessary, but if they are not implemented, that would still lead to pests moving in trade. So I'm the lead of the unit in charge of implementation and facilitation. We work by supporting countries, capacitating them through the production of materials and through direct work in the field to strengthen their organization. And within the IPPC Secretariat, we are about 30 persons based in Rome. Some are home-based. We are placed within FAO, the Food and Agriculture Organization of the United Nations. And the third unit is in charge of integrating the work of the two units through communication and international cooperation. And you might have visited our website, seen there are many news which are being produced. Everything is done in transparency and everything is available to the public. I will now go into the detail of what we do, which belongs to One Health, which is common to the various disciplines, so animal health and food safety. In particular, what we do in terms of pest outbreaks and alert systems, promoting our new IPPC Plant Health Campus, the phytosanitary capacity evaluation, the safe disaster relief assistance. This is a safe humanitarian aid, the IPPC phyto solution, and our latest work on antimicrobial resistance. I want to be very concrete in how we address One Health, or what we do within Plant Health, which contributes to One Health. So first of all, the IPPC has a strategic framework with various development agendas. One of them being that pest outbreak and alert response systems are strengthened. So there are a specific group of experts from all around the world to work on that, to set criteria to define what is an emerging pest, to assess coming pests through these criteria, and establish a toolbox and a coordination mechanism so countries are fully ready. This type of system is common to animal health in particular and food safety. So that's really a One Health tool. And that's the initial block of knowing what are the threats. So then countries will be better or will be prepared to address them. Our first concrete case working on a pest in the framework of these pest outbreaks and alert system was fall armyworm. Being a convention, we cannot be in all countries. Our role is really to provide general guidance and recommendations to countries. Hence, we set a specific working group on this fall armyworm. Fall armyworm is Spodoptera frugiperda. That's a pest of maize, and it can affect the production up to 90%. it needs to be managed. It's Lepidoptera. It flies. Hence, our role was to provide these recommendations. We published guidelines and we detail very precisely what to do when this pest is absent and what to do when this pest is officially detected and confirmed through a response plan. We also provide very concrete recommendation on how to involve stakeholders and do a communication plan. So I invite you to consult that guide. It's available in various languages. You see French, Arabic, and Russian. And that publication dated 2021 was the first of the kind for us on a specific pest. And that opened the way for our commission, which is our governing body, to ask us to take a global coordination role for Fusarium oxysporum cubense tropical race 4, a pest of banana, so that we would continue this effort on pests and give all the means to countries to be ready. In particular, we published the same type of guide. We delivered a surveillance virtual course. We coordinated with a very strong regional plant protection organization named OIRSA in Central America. And we ensured transfer of knowledge in between continents by asking our colleagues in the FAO Mesoamerica office in Central America. They are based in Panama. They organize frequent simulation exercise for that pest, for other pests. We asked them to support us in organizing such a simulation exercise in Africa. So that came to life last year in May in Kenya. So a simulation exercise, it's like a play role, like a drill, pretending the pest has been detected in a banana plantation. And you see they are in the setting with the suits appropriate for such work. So going to the banana plantation, seeing how to do a sample and then sending it to the laboratory, eradicating, cutting the banana parts, cleaning their shoes. So they are behaving as if there was a real outbreak. We wanted this to be a regional event. So 13 African countries in the sub-region were invited to be trained and see what a simulation exercise looked like. Of course, we had assessed which country should be receiving this exercise, so they are sufficiently prepared in terms of surveillance, risk analysis. This eradication exercise comes when you have a certain level of proficiency in plant health. And we are now following up with the Regional Plant Protection Organization of Africa, so that knowledge is being shared among all NPPOs, National Plant Protection Organization. So that was really a success. To continue on tier 4, that opens the way to the use of artificial intelligence and new technologies. So I had the pleasure 2 weeks ago to be invited to the OIRSA International Days of Innovation. OIRSA is really advanced on using the metaverse, artificial intelligence. I invite you to read the article which is shown on the slides. So I had learned in the metaverse to drive a drone and for 20 minutes. So it's like a video game. And the same day, I then drove a real drone being used for surveying pests of plants. So that type of tool is helping save money. Of course, if you learn to drive a real drone, which costs $12,000, and you crush it, it has a real impact. That's why you'd better learn in the metaverse through technologies. And that's something that's a capacity, a technology which can be demultiplied in several countries, allowing several people to learn very economically, cheaply, this type of technologies. So that's paved the way for the future. For what regards pest outbreaks, we are in the process of identifying emerging pests for the whole world. This pest is still being assessed by the dedicated group, but 2 days ago, we issued our first alert as part of this new group being set for the report of Clavibacter nebraskensis. This pest was so far limited to North America. That's a bacteria. It's a pest of maize, and it has very detrimental impacts on maize. And in January, North Africa made a notification under its national reporting obligation on the IPPC website to notify that this pest had arrived in the country and that they were taking measures. We therefore analyzed this pest and recognized there's a risk for the whole of Africa as well as for other continents would that pest spread. So you see this pest profiling is part of a set of One Health tools to identify problems before they arise. So I'm moving to our second major activity, which is the imminent launch of our IPPC Plant Health Campus. This campus is divided through e-learning passes, which are relevant for national plant protection organizations, providing free, very pedagogic and well-designed e-learning courses on the major matters relevant for the workers. If, for instance, you're a pest risk analyst, here is a set of courses and materials you would need to take. If you're an import officer, here are all the courses you should take. So that's quite revolutionary because although veterinarians have their trainings, we as plant health don't have a standardized cursus for the profession. People were usually learning on the spot. Hence, this is a dream come true with all NPPOs of the world now being able to train their staff for free in a very structured manner. That campus was funded by the European Union, so we want to thank the donor. And we will launch that campus on the 17th of March, which is the first day of our commission on phytosanitary measures. We've advertised some of the courses which have already been published. I invite you to take our newly launched course on working in an NPPO. We worked with the FAO Learning Academy to develop it, and we caught the occasion of the International Day of Girls and Women in Science to picture the profile of 6 women in the world, all around the world, working in NPPO to advocate for plant health and for the work within NPPOs. So I really invite all the attendants of this webinar to take this course in particular, because it's 2-hour course, very friendly, to give the overall picture of what is the work of an NPPO. These courses are being taken on at the country level. We had the experience of one of our PC facilitator, PC being the phytosanitary capacity evaluation. So that lady took all our courses and uses it at her country level, and when she capacitates other countries. And that's also the case from Francisco Gutierrez from the Belize Agricultural Health Authority, who is sitting on our implementation committee and was instrumental in developing these materials, and he actively promotes them, using them as the national courses for his NPPO. So I've been mentioning a few times the phytosanitary capacity evaluation. So of course, the campus I just mentioned is part of a general effort on capacity development at the global level, available to all. And capacity development in plant health, animal health, food safety is recognized as having its place within the One Health reality. We're also working with our colleague within the FAO One Health unit so that all our courses are aligned, are mutually promoted. So in the future, we're thinking of having One Health courses as well. When it comes to the national level, we strengthen the capacities of our contracting parties through that tool, the PCE, that we manage since at least 30 years, having implemented it in over 60 countries, so a huge database of information and continuity. It's a self-assessment tool, but we highly recommend to have the services of our trained and certified facilitators, as it's a quite complex process in 3 steps. So we usually have 3 international missions to first the situation analysis, to which all stakeholders having interest in plant health are invited. So that's usually all governmental services, including customs, forestry, Ministry of Agriculture, of course, as well as the private sector, importers, exporters, producers, academia, the civil society, all discussing plant health matters and what's missing into their plant health framework. From a legal point of view, we're also working on the law, and on a technical point of view, as well as on a structural point of view. So they come all together through a workshop with a facilitator to fill in the module, having a common understanding of what is being asked and identifying the gaps in their phytosanitary system. There is then a second mission, which we call strategic planning, where they work on their weaknesses to build a logical framework. And the final mission is about validation, where they present the result to donors, to their high-level management, to become, and you see the PCE outcomes, a national phytosanitary capacity development strategy that will inform their priority activities for the next 5 to 10 years with resource mobilization needs. And the PCE, as I was mentioning, also allows to revise the legislation or regulation for plant health in the country. And for that, we work hand in hand with lawyers. That seems very ambitious, but let me tell you a few cases. We recently obtained, we supported Uganda to obtain 8 million euros from a donor to advance their priorities. And when it comes to law, we had Comoros a few years ago passing their new phytosanitary law after the PCE, as well as Nicaragua. And other countries are in the process of changing their phytosanitary law. So that's really a tool to strengthen the national authority in charge of plant health, and that works really well. You see here where we've implemented it recently, so really across all continents. I went personally to a few of them, Nicaragua, Madagascar, Comoros, Cambodia, and that's always enriching to see the national realities. It's each time different, and we're always advancing different priorities. So to flag as well that this PCE is recognized as a One Health tool, we have equivalent tools for animal health. It is called PVS. And for food safety, it's called food safety assessments. And we've worked closely with our FAO colleagues from food safety on a joint project to implement on our side 11 PCEs and on their side 9 food safety assessments. So you see, there's collaboration going on, and we're talking a lot with our WOHA colleagues to improve our tool on the basis of their finding. We're working as well, and that's a One Health topic, on safe humanitarian aid. There's a dedicated group for that. There is an existing recommendation, and the focus group is recommending that a standard be developed on that matter. I invite you to consult the QR code to know more about it. Another topic I want to flag, we always talk about digitalization. Indeed, we need to do things in a digital way so we save money, we save time. So we did it with the IPPC ePhyto solution, which allows to exchange phytosanitary certificates electronically. It's over 7 million ePhyto exchanged. You see there are 92 active users and 136 countries registered in tests. Just to give a value, USA, since they're using ePhyto since 2017, may have saved only with paper saving in between 27 and 86 million USD. So ePhyto really makes trade cheaper, faster, and safer. Safer because we avoid fraud of certificate. You see on the map, the continent where it is less implemented is in Africa. So we're liaising with the Global Alliance, which is a major partner, to be mobilizing resources together so we would implement ePhyto in Africa. We have various cases of success for this digital transformation. So I invite you to read the cases of Uganda, Korea, Argentina, and soon more are to come, like Egypt. During the Commission on Phytosanitary Measures in 1.5 weeks, we will also present the results from the FAO Investment Center, demonstrating that ePhyto really brings economic benefits to the countries using it, advocating for all countries using it. The more registered to the system, the more savings are made. Then there's also a joint topic to the 3 disciplines, and that's antimicrobial resistance. That's a very strong topic for animal health and human health. So on our side, the Commission asked us to consider it for plant health, launching surveys, and so we have a comprehensive view of the use of these antibiotics and fungicides in plant health. The studies, the analysis is being done and will be presented during our commission. So I want to end that presentation by inviting you to celebrate the 12th of May, the International Day of Plant Health. We will be celebrating all over the world, and that's really an opportunity to emphasize the importance of plant health. I'm also inviting you to our Commission on Phytosanitary Measures virtually. There's a webcast link. So you see here the link, you will be able to access it. In particular, you may be interested in two side sessions, one on the innovation tools being used for tier 4, that banana pest I mentioned previously. And another side session is about systems approach. And with that, I thank you, and I'm open to your questions. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Sarah. That was comprehensive and informative. So much detail there on the policies and the operations. It's in some ways it's quite reassuring, but that somebody's got the back. But we'll open it up to questions now. We've got a few questions coming in. Please keep those questions coming in, and we can also follow up later if we don't have time to talk about it in the next quarter of an hour. The first question is about the PCE, the phytosanitary evaluation, and the observation is made that it seems to focus on the developing countries, according to the map. Do other companies also have that capacity according to your standards? Because the implication is that there are some gaps in the coverage there, and the comment is made that the correspondent thinks that their country could also benefit from a process like that.
It can indeed. It's a structured, comprehensive process which requests a country to do a self-assessment and to take distance and identify its gaps. As of now, only developing countries have requested it, and we're identifying whether developed countries would implement one, but there's absolutely no restriction any country could do. The practice is only that donors have financed these PCEs for developing countries, but we hope that will change in the future.
Okay, thank you. A question here about pesticides from Roger. The use of pesticides to control plant pests is part of One Health. But pesticides are not really within the scope of the IPPC, is the comment. I mean, is that true? Does this constrain how it can be represented, or do you want to comment on that, the role of pesticides there?
Yeah, so indeed, it's not within the remit of the IPPC. Everything we do is to prevent the introduction and spread of pests, so we don't need to use pesticides, okay? What we do is pesticide prevention by blocking the pest before it arrives, or as soon as it arrives, we eradicate it with pesticide or whatever the mean. So there's no long-term need for the use of pesticides. So that's the vision, that's the concept.
Okay. Edward asks a sort of simple question. Thank you for an excellent talk. But with the survey on the use of antibiotics and fungicides, do you know when that will be published? Is the question from Edward.
Yes, we have an initial analysis of the survey, which is currently available as a Commission on Phytosanitary Measures paper on our website, and I can share this. It generally says that about 30% of the countries reported using these products. So the issue is not as huge as in animal health, just as, a very a shortcut.
So that'll be out soon. So that's good. So
Yeah.
Sven asks a potentially sensitive question, which you might have been expecting, and I think is on everybody's radar. Is there any impact on your activities, or do you anticipate any impact on your activities following the changes by the US administration recently that we're all aware of?
In terms of funding organizations?
I suppose it's a general question. I suppose it could be operational or it could be funding. I mean, I noticed from some of the maps, the US are heavily involved for example, the E
Phyto.
phyto and so on. Yeah.
Um, I don't foresee huge impact. Our funding is not so much relying on USA. I mean, a part, of course, but not the bulk of it. I think it's rather going to be a negative impact for the US if they don't continue working with us.
Yeah. Yeah. It's a difficult one to answer, and we'll all have to wait and see, I'm afraid. A specific question here about Indonesia and plant pathology and phytosanitary. The comment being that it's rarely or apparently rarely discussed in Indonesia. Any ideas about FAO IPPC work in Indonesia or with them?
Is the FAO representative in Indonesia? There is a national plant protection organization. So what is done in the UK is also done in Indonesia. Yes, activities are being undertaken in Indonesia as well, of course.
Yeah. Okay. So maybe that's a sort of visibility thing from the questioner. Yeah. Another one from Sven. What about GM to control pests? I suppose it's the same answer actually as you gave to pesticides, because you're about prevention rather than control once they're there. But is there a GM angle that impinges on your strategies?
When you say GM is
genetic modification, yeah.
This as well is not really the focus of the convention. We would recommend assessed and safe methods to prevent the introduction and spread of pests. Would it be GM methods which are widely recognized, widely used? That can be a possibility, though. Yeah, that's all to be assessed on a case-by-case basis according to the crop and the pest.
Yeah, yeah. Okay, got one from Jules in Rothamsted. Question about One Health and suggesting that One Health is dominated by discussions about animal and human health, zoonosis, whereas the plant environment one could be argued to be overlooked. Do you see IPPC as wanting to change that narrative or getting in there on explaining the wider impacts on environment and plant health? I think you touched on it a little bit in the early part of the talk.
And absolutely, we want to be a game changer. We want to enhance the visibility of plant health and plant health be more embedded into One Health. Hence, I'm here in front of you. We're having other initiatives to enhance our visibility, in particular the International Day of Plant Health, which is specifically focused on the importance of plant health in One Health. We've discussed with our colleagues within the FAO One Health group, so we would organize jointly a science session on the 20th of March afternoon during the Commission on Phytosanitary Measures, a science session again on the importance of plant health in One Health, with a speaker from Africa making a summary. So Sunday Ekesi from ISIP, making all the scientific linkages in between plant health and One Health, having representative from the quadripartite organization give their perspective. So quadripartite organization are World Health Organization, UNEP, the United Environment Organization, WOHA, the World Organization for Animal Health, and FAO. We will also have the CBD, Convention on Biological Diversity, the Codex Alimentarius, and we will also picture cases from countries on how they implement plant health and One Health within their countries. We wish to come to a few recommendations on the way forward. And we wish to elevate our visibility as well. But that is really the role of everybody. So people hearing us, they now have the understanding of the importance of plant health, and they are now becoming our advocates to promote plant health within One Health.
Okay, thank you. Just a short answer to this one, because some people probably know this very well, but one of the questions is asking, could you just concisely repeat what One Health is and how it fits into the broader mission? I think they might have missed that, and you've mentioned that quite a lot.
Yes. One Health is an integrated, unifying approach that aims to sustainably balance and optimize the health of people, animals, and ecosystems. And there is a broader definition which is provided by the authorities in charge, which I could later share if you want to communicate with the participants today.
Okay, yeah, I think we're going to put something on YouTube and the slides and so on afterwards for people to follow up. So another question. I mean, you made the statement, which is obviously true, that the pests are blind to borders, and so it needs a comprehensive approach. Are the communication channels and indeed the engagement with these strategies across countries and organizations strong enough on emerging pests and diseases? Do one or two non-compliant people completely undermine it? Is that a problem?
Oh, when you say non-compliant, you say the general public, importers? No, I think when a system is strong, it's quite unlikely to undermine it. There's always some, possibilities of failures. So the first guard is really to prevent the entry. And for that, you need a law, you need inspections. I'm thinking of Fedorian banana wilt. There are sniffing dogs at the airports. They're sniffing whether you have earth on your shoes. They may be in the future profiling of people according to where they were. Are they agronomists? If you're an agronomist, then you're a risky person for plant health. So that's the front of prevention, making control of commodities and people before they enter a country. This may fail. If it fails, you have an outbreak. So the second front is eradication, making the alert, having identified this is a risk, and have your whole team prepared to eradicate, discussing with the producers, the private sector, the army maybe, so that that outbreak would be eradicated or contained.
So have you got any, it's difficult to prove a negative when you've been successful, nothing happens. But is there anything that you think I'm really glad that that's working? What are you most proud of?
Proud of promoting the simulation exercises. These are very efficient capacity development activities for a whole country to be ready. So we share the example of Mesoamerica, where they have commandos. They share that example during our Commission on Phytosanitary Measures. As a consequence, the EU integrated the idea of these commandos in their law, and that's going to be implemented in the field. And lately, we've transferred that knowledge, that practice to Africa. I'm particularly proud of having shared knowledge among continents for a better plant health embedded within One Health to achieve the transformation of the agri-food system and to reach the SDGs and have a world with zero hunger, possibly.
Okay, great. Maybe a final question, really about your career. I emphasized at the beginning your collection of very interdisciplinary degrees and training. How did that end up with you working in a plant protection area with the biologists around you? And what advice would you give to somebody who wanted to get into this or move jobs in this area?
So I studied agronomy because I wanted to feed people. So that comes from a very deep mission, if you wish. And I have this passion for plants. I'm really a plant lover. And I wanted to travel, I wanted to help. Hence, I ended up with the United Nations. So my recommendation is nurture your passion, believe in it, work hard, and give to others. Believe in your dreams, be generous, and things will happen.